Revealed, the incredible hidden vitamin deficiency affecting 40% of seniors' mobility. Discover how this alarming truth could change everything for your loved ones. Martha had always been a force of nature in her small Midwestern town. At 73, she was the widow who walked with purpose, her back straight, even as the world around her fell heavier. For years, she raised her son, Jake, with sweat and grit, teaching him the values of independence and hard work. But lately, the shadows in her joints had started speaking a different language, one of reliance and fear. As she stared out her kitchen window at the familiar faces bustling about the community center, the air festered with unease. Was that Helen Johnson, the busybody, eyeing Martha as if she were some fragile flower? Martha's pride was a brick wall, yet these days that wall was showing cracks. It felt less like a fortress and more like a prison. Jake, with his calloused hand from factory shifts and his heart bursting with concern, never left much room for himself these days. Every time he saw his mother struggling, a tightness invaded his chest. "I'm fine, sweetheart," she would insist, even as her smile faltered. How could he tell her the burden he felt, standing between providing for his family and caring for her? Both worlds tugged at him like stubborn children. "Mom, do you need anything?" He'd often ask, hoping for a different answer, though he could already sense it. "No, I'm fine." The same declaration echoed every time. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then came the new nurse, Sophia, bursting into their lives like a summer storm. She brought with her not only a warm smile, but an alarming revelation. Surveys showed that many seniors, including Martha, were lacking a crucial vitamin that could lead to their declining health and mobility. Suddenly, the previously unsuspecting reality of aging was thrust into the spotlight, igniting debates sprawling across cafe tables and church steps. Some townsfolk rallied, organizing support networks for their aging friends. "It's about time we look after each other," shouted Carol, her indignation echoing. Others shook their heads. "Asking for help is not how we do things," they lamented, clinging to their stubborn resolve. Each camp tugged at Jake and Martha's hearts, making them quietly recoil in the face of vulnerability. But fear struck no stronger than on that fateful day. A fall at the community center left Martha crumpled on the floor, her pride stripped bare. Pain surged through her body, but the emotional fall cut deeper. Exposed and helpless, she felt the walls closing in. As whispers filled the buzzing room around her, the truth nestled itself within like a thorn. Was she really just a strong old woman? Or had pride been her robbing thief, robbing her of the loving connections she needed? Jake rushed to help her, immobilized by the helplessness in his mother's eyes. Their world felt heavier than ever, and as Martha lay there, replaying the moments of her life of resilience, she faced an inevitable decision. Could she embrace her community and lean on Jake, abandoning her independence for the sake of love? Or would she recoil into solitude, letting pride dictate? The air thick with tension, Martha and Jake were left standing at a crossroads, their hearts racing and hope fluttering like a fragile bird. Would she invite help into her life, even as it ripped at the very fabric of her identity? Or would they both lose the only thing that had kept them tethered, their bond? Martha's breath came in shallow gasps as she lay on the floor, the community center buzzing around her like a swarm of angry bees. Jake knelt beside her, the world dulled to a soft murmur except for the heartbeat pounding loudly in his ears. He took her hand, the warmth of her palm reminding him of a childhood filled with strength and security. "Mom, please," he whispered, urgency lacing his voice. The scrapes on her arms were nothing compared to the tremor of fear etched in her eyes. He had seen this pride before, that stubbornness anchored deep in her core, but this time it felt different. The fall had shattered more than her physical strength. It had cracked something wide open between them. Martha winced, squeezing his hand tightly. I can't. I don't want to be a burden, Jake. Her voice, once a battle cry, now sounded faint and fragile. She wrestled with the truth of her reality, a truth brimming with vulnerability, a truth she had fought against for far too long. Jake shook his head, his eyes pleading with her to understand. You're not a burden. You're my mom. I want to help you. She searched his face, looking for a way out of the web she had woven around herself with her own strength, often misconstrued as weakness. The community around her was buzzing, faces peering through the crowd, concern etched on their features. It should have comforted her, but it only made her feel more exposed. As Jake helped her up, she could feel the warmth of those watching, a soft glow mixed with a hint of pity. It suffocated her. I can't let them see me like this, she said, her voice trembling. It felt sacrilegious to let her guard down in a town where invincibility was a badge of honor worn proudly by so many seniors. The nurse, Sophia, was there too, her brow furrowing with concern. She approached cautiously. Martha, if you don't mind, I'd like to check you out. We need to make sure you're all right. Martha spluttered a feeble protest, but the look on Jake's face told her everything she needed to know. He wouldn't let her dismiss this. Her pride was falling away piece by piece, but it was now intertwined with the threads of love and compassion from the people around her. Maybe I've held on too tightly, she thought, a spark of realization flickering through the fog of trauma. As the nurse examined her, Martha felt a twinge of resentment mixed with relief. What was worse, confronting her reality or letting these people in? She'd lived her whole life with the belief that she needed to be the strong one. But maybe, just maybe, there was strength in leaning on the support she had so fiercely deemed unnecessary. Jake watched her carefully through the examination, every second feeling like a lifetime. He could see the conflict in her eyes, a maelstrom of emotions reflecting between wanting to scream out with defiance against the struggle and longing for comfort in surrendering. The doctor's orders came pouring in, a prescribed vitamin to help with mobility and an invitation for regular check-ins. The answers felt like chains, but somehow the weight seemed lighter. Maybe this was the healing they both desperately needed. I'll come over once a week, Jake stated firmly. We'll navigate this together, Mom. Martha could only nod, feeling a teardrop escape down her cheek, a mixture of sorrow and relief. In that moment, she realized that the foundation of their bond didn't have to crumble. It could be rebuilt stronger. But as they walked out of the community center, the soft evening light falling around them, Martha felt the stirrings of doubt creep back in. Could she really change? Could she accept help without losing herself? Their journey was just beginning, and with each step, the direction became more poignant. But what if the very thing she feared could also become a key to a deeper connection, a light into an unknown path filled with love and warmth, rather than shame and solitude? Martha's heart raced at the thought, echoing against the painful cacophony of doubt. Would she find the courage to tear down the walls she had built? Martha took a deep breath, each inhalation bringing the scent of fresh grass and fading sunlight. The warmth enveloped her, but the knot of anxiety twisted tighter in her stomach. Jake walked beside her, his presence a steady anchor, yet doubt lingered like the shadows stretching across the pavement. Mom, are you okay? His voice pulled her back from the edge of her spiraling thoughts. I'm fine, she lied, though the word tasted bitter on her tongue. She focused on the sporadic chatter of the community members, their laughter a sharp contrast to her swirling emotions. Every smile felt like a reminder of the facade she had crafted over the years. She was the strong one, the resilient matriarch who could weather any storm. But here she was leaning on her son for support, rendered vulnerable by a simple fall. Just tired, she added, trying to deflect the growing concern in Jake's eyes. Sure, but tired is a step up from where you were. He grinned, his optimism brightening the heavy atmosphere. Are you ready to grab some dinner? I thought maybe we could try that new place downtown. A tiny part of her longed for normalcy, for the laughter and good food to wash away the day's events. But she hesitated. "I don't want to be any trouble," she said quietly. "Mom, stop. I want to take you out. You mean a lot to me, and it's okay to let me help," he urged gently. His sincerity struck her, yet her heart battled against the admission that she needed help, that she would accept it. "Okay," Martha finally conceded, the word escaping like a small sigh of surrender. They made their way to the restaurant, the city's vibrant hues melting together in the twilight. A small dining area buzzed with the soft hum of conversations, the scent of grilled meats and spices wafting through the air. The warmth of the place wrapped around her, soothing her raw edges bit by bit. As they settled into their seats, Jake glanced around and then leaned in closer, his expression serious. "What was the doctor's word on your fall? Do you really think it was just age?" Martha considered her response, tracing the rim of her water glass with her fingertip. Part of it might be aging, but even as she spoke, an undeniable truth sat heavy in her chest. "But the bigger part? It's that I've been pushing myself to do everything alone." She tore her gaze away, unable to meet her son's eyes. Jake let out a heavy sigh. "Mom, there's strength in asking for help. Remember how things were when I was a kid? You were always there for me in every way possible." Her eyes flicked back to his, and she saw the years behind his gaze, time pressing both of them toward change. "It's different now, Jake. I don't want to be the one to hurt you." Silence stretched between them, thick and uncertain. But in that silence, something shifted. Martha's heart beat louder now, resonating with a burgeoning hope. Maybe she was right about strength, but wrong about its form. With dinner served, they began to share stories over plates filled with comforting food. Each laugh sparked a light inside her, igniting the remnants of the vibrant life she had nearly forgotten. The wall she had built began to crumble, brick by heavy brick. "Remember when you got that bike?" Jake recalled, laughter dancing in his eyes. "You couldn't stop telling everyone how you rode in circles around the park." "Oh, I remember." She laughed too, the memory brightening her spirit. "And how I fell over when I tried to take that turn too quickly. Just like I fell today, right? Guess some things never change," he teased gently. Her heart warmed, yet a flicker of that old fear nagged at her. Could she keep this up? As conversations flowed, Martha's resolve began to thin like the fading daylight outside. If she could lean on Jake for a bike, why not lean on him now? Acceptance felt foreign, yet freeing. She found herself smiling more, the edges of her worries softening. But just when things felt too good, doubt crept back in, whispering fears about what this new chapter would entail. Could she find a balance between independence and acceptance? As they finished their meal, Martha looked across the table, her heart pounding. She wanted to believe. She wanted to let go of the past and embrace something new. The question lingered. Would she take that leap of faith? Leaving the restaurant, she stood quietly next to Jake, the vibrant colors of the evening sky a harbinger of something yet unseen. The path remained uncertain, but the soft light pushed her forward. What would this newfound acceptance reveal about both of them? Would courage blossom where she feared to tread? As they stepped out into the cool evening air, a gentle breeze ruffled Martha's hair, carrying with it a sense of possibility. Jake walked beside her, the familiar warmth of his presence wrapping around her like a favorite blanket. But beneath that comfort, uncertainty still gnawed at her insides. "Mom, you okay?" he asked, glancing sideways at her, a hint of concern in his voice again. She nodded, but half-heartedly. "Yeah, just thinking," she murmured, looking up at the stars emerging one by one against the darkening sky. They had always seemed so constant, yet tonight they felt distant, almost tauntingly unreachable. "What about?" Jake's question broke through her thoughts, his curiosity genuine. "About everything," Martha replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "This new road I'm on." Jake stopped walking, making her stop too. "Mom, it's okay. I promise it doesn't have to be so heavy. I want to help." She looked into his eyes, seeing the boy she had raised and the man he had become. A sudden wave of affection washed over her, mingled with the weight of her fears. "I just worry about being a burden," she said, a knot returning to her chest. "You could never be a burden," he insisted, his voice firm. "You taught me that it's okay to lean on each other. It's part of being family." A flicker of hope sparked within her. Could she really let him be there for her? As they continued their walk, Jake shared silly anecdotes from his day, stories filled with potluck dinners and coworkers acting goofy. She found herself laughing, the sound echoing off the pavement around them. That familiar joy she felt as a mother began to tug at her heart, slowly unearthing buried pieces of herself. When they arrived back at her house, she felt the weight of the simple structure pull at her. It was the same house that held every memory, every moment of her life, stitched together with love and resilience. But now it also felt like a cage. Jake paused at the door, looking at her with a soft seriousness. "What if I come by more often? We could explore new hobbies, maybe gardening or cooking." The thought made her chest tighten with excitement and dread. "But what if I can't keep up? What if I fail?" He shook his head, determination glimmering in his eyes. "Then we'll laugh about it, or find a way to make it work together. We all stumble. Mom, it doesn't mean we can't enjoy the ride." Something shifted deep within her. Perhaps there was freedom in admitting to herself that she didn't have to do everything alone. That accepting help didn't equate to weakness, but to strength. "All right," she said, her voice steady but her heart thumping with the weight of her choice. "Let us try." A bright smile broke across Jake's face, lighting up the dim corridor. "Awesome. I'll bring the recipes tomorrow." As he walked away, Martha's heart felt lighter. Yet, deep down, she could still feel the remnants of her doubts lurking, ready to spring forth. Would this leap into the unknown truly lead to a brighter path? The night settled around her, stars winked down like old friends. She leaned against the doorframe, contemplating her next steps. What if she didn't just let life happen to her, but began to carve out her own adventures? The question lingered in the air, hanging on the edge of the night. Could she dare to rewrite her story at this stage of her life, or would fear claim her once again? Martha stood still for a moment, the night wrapping around her like a comforting quilt. The possibility of change pulsed through her, warming her from the inside. But then the questions crept back in. What if she made a fool of herself? What if trying something new only brought back the doubts that had clung to her for so long? Fighting the urge to retreat into her shell, she inhaled deeply. The scent of the cool night air, mixed with the faintest hint of freshly cut grass, filled her lungs. "Mom!" Jake's voice cut through a reverie. "You coming in, or just going to hang out admiring the stars?" That made her chuckle, and as she stepped inside, she felt a small ripple of hope. Maybe facing her fears was more about learning than failing. Maybe there was power, even joy, in stepping into the unknown. The next morning dawned bright and clear. Martha brewed a pot of coffee that smelled like home, pulling her from her anxious thoughts. The familiar buzz of the daily routine gave her an anchor amidst the tides of uncertainty. She imagined Jake bustling in and out, the kitchen alive with laughter and the sound of pots clanging. As she sipped her coffee, she glanced over at the neglected patches in her backyard. There were wildflowers peeking through the dirt, nature's resilience. If they could push through, so could she. Jake arrived with an armful of ingredients, his enthusiasm contagious. "I thought we'd make something simple to start," he said, his eyes sparkling. "How about a vegetable stir-fry? Nothing fancy, but it should be fun." "Sounds perfect," Martha replied, her heart fluttering with excitement and a pinch of trepidation. They flooded the kitchen with life, chopping vegetables and laughing as they juggled pots and pans. The sizzle of the oil in the pan was music to her ears. Martha found herself slipping into a rhythm with Jake, their laughter intertwining like the aromas wafting around them. "Pass me that soy sauce, will you?" he asked, poking at the bubbling vegetables. In that moment, they were cocooned in their own world. As she passed the bottle, Martha's heart swelled with pride. They were a team. After they plated their colorful creation, they settled at the kitchen table. Jake took a bite, and his eyes lit up. "Wow, Mom, this is actually really good." She couldn't help but chuckle. You mean to say you expected it to be bad? Hey, you never know. He joked, and they both erupted into laughter that filled the small space. But just as quickly, a shadow fell across her joy. A nagging doubt resurfaced. What if this was just a fleeting moment? Outside of this kitchen, the world still felt overwhelming. Could she really sustain this feeling of connection and happiness? Jake caught the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. Mom, remember what we talked about? It's all about taking baby steps. One meal doesn't change everything, but it's a start. Martha's heart swelled. The conversation they had under the stars now floated back to her like a lifeline. She took a deep breath, allowing the warmth of that thought to wash over her. Thanks, Jake, she said softly. I think I'm starting to believe that I can embrace this. Good, because I've got more recipes where that came from. He laughed, the lightness in his voice cutting through the heaviness that lingered. A spark of determination ignited in her heart. Maybe it was time to expand beyond the confines of her home, to breathe life into other corners of her world. What if they not only cooked together, but took a class at the community center, or explored the local park? The possibilities seemed endless. As the meal came to an end, Martha gazed out the window. The neighborhood, bustling with life, felt like an invitation. Could today be the first step in her new adventure? Or would she stay safely encased in the patterns of her old life? The sun shone brighter, and she felt ready to find out. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, everyone in the neighborhood seemed to awaken with a fresh enthusiasm. Martha glanced at Jake, who was busy cleaning up their kitchen adventure. Her heart quickened at the thought of doing more than just cooking. She wanted to bring back those days when adventures were spontaneous, when laughter ruled the day, and joy felt as natural as breathing. Jake, she called, a thought bubbling to the surface. What do you think about taking that cooking class at the community center we saw advertised? His head whipped around, his face lighting up. Really? You're in? She nodded, the prospect feeling like a leap into a pool after a hot summer-esque day, not so terrifying after all. Why not? She said, trying to infuse confidence into her voice. What is the worst that could happen? We mess up a few more recipes? He laughed, the sound unburdened and bright. Exactly. Plus, we'll have each other to blame. I mean, how hard can sautéing a few vegetables be? Martha couldn't help but grin. It felt good. Exciting even. The thought of trying something new ignited a flicker of nerves, but overwhelmingly, she felt a surge of anticipation. She pulled out her phone and quickly searched for the community center-esque schedule. Look, they have a class on Saturday, and it's all about ethnic cuisines, she exclaimed, feeling a burst of energy. Jake leaned over to look at the screen, his enthusiasm infectious. Let us do it, he shouted, pumping his fist in the air. We can make tacos one week and sushi the next. Yes, and then, who knows? We might end up starting our own food blog. Martha's laughter mingled with Jake's as the dream cascaded from one idea to another, growing in excitement. Her hand shook slightly as she clicked the registration button. It felt monumental, like signing up for a whole new version of herself, brimming with possibilities. Later, as she and Jake planted themselves on the couch to watch a movie, she felt the weight of anxiety start to lift. Every moment of laughter at their culinary mishaps played in her mind like a favorite film she could play on repeat. She began to realize that these small steps were transforming not just her life, but also her relationship with her son. It was a bridge connecting their worlds. Mom? Jake's voice broke her concentration. I'm really glad you're doing this. You're not just sitting around anymore. Martha turned to him, the gravity of his words sinking in. Neither are you, kiddo. This isn't just about cooking, is it? Nope, he replied, his expression suddenly serious. It's more than that. We're figuring out how to have fun together again. Like when we were kids. The warmth spread through her. For the first time in what felt like forever, she didn't just feel hopeful. She felt alive, like she was reclaiming pieces of herself that had been dormant for too long. But just as she allowed that sense of freedom to wash over her, an unexpected thought arose. What if they truly did branch out beyond cooking? What if they looked into hiking classes or art workshops together? The sky was the limit. What if we've only just begun? She mused aloud. Jake smiled, the corner of his mouth quirking up playfully. Then let us not stop at a cooking class. Let us dive in, Mom. Chicago has so much to offer. But he paused, drawing out the suspense. Let us not let your almost misery in the kitchen take over, okay? She laughed, and when their eyes met, both of them could feel it, that shared understanding. The promise of adventure, the thrill of confronting fears, and the joy of a friendship blooming amidst the challenges of life. Martha leaned a little closer to him, the spark of possibility humming between them. So, what do you say we start planning our next class for the week after? Absolutely, he replied, his excitement palpable. But just as the laughter filled the room, another thought crept up. What if stepping outside to embrace their neighborhood together would offer them more than classes, friendship, community, and a deeper connection to those around them? With that question hanging in the air about what lay beyond their cozy walls, Martha knew she was ready to find out. Saturday arrived sooner than expected, and a crisp breeze danced through the trees as Martha and Jake made their way to the community center. The morning sun filtered through the leaves, casting playful shadows on the sidewalk. Each step felt lighter than the last, a tangible excitement thrumming through them as they approached the center. Martha couldn't shake the feeling that this day was more than just about cooking. It felt like a celebration of everything they were rediscovering together. You ready? She asked, glancing at Jake. Born ready, he replied, striking a mock superhero pose that made her chuckle. Inside, the community center buzzed with energy. The smell of fresh herbs and spices wafted through the air as groups gathered around tables. Laughter and chatter merging into a joyful cacophony. Martha and Jake found their classroom, which was already comfortably filled with a diverse crowd. A woman with brightly colored hair introduced herself as Chef Elena, her upbeat personality shining as bright as her apron. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're embarking on a culinary journey through the vibrant flavors of Mexico, she said, clapping her hands together. The enthusiasm in the room was infectious, and Martha could feel her nerves melt away. They settled at a table with two elderly women, Betty and Marlene, who exchanged playful banter. Don't let these young whippersnapper hearts play you, Betty winked at them. We've been through a few kitchen disasters ourselves. Like the time Betty mistook sugar for salt, Marlene added, raising an amused eyebrow. Laughter erupted, and Martha felt herself ease into the moment. Cooking classes were different than they used to be. This was more than just a lesson. It was a gathering of souls sharing stories through food. The act was as much about community and connection as it was about flavors and techniques. As they chopped onions and sliced peppers, Jake turned to Martha, his eyes sparkling. See? It's already more fun than I thought. Yeah, and I think I'm starting to get it, Martha replied, stirring a pot with newfound confidence. They were fully engaged, the rhythm of the class resonating with the beat of their laughter and newfound camaraderie. Halfway through, Chef Elena announced they would break into teams for a friendly competition, making the best tacos. The excitement in the room skyrocketed. Martha's heart raced not just from the chance to create, but from the fire in Jake's eyes. They were truly in this together. Let us show them what we got, Jake said, his competitive spirit igniting as he grabbed ingredients. They worked seamlessly, recalling their discussions about what flavors complemented each other. They both immersed themselves in weaving together textures and tastes, joyfully exchanging ideas as they chopped and mixed. But as the clock ticked down, a sudden surge of pressure escalated the atmosphere. Some teams were almost done, while others struggled with last-minute mishaps. Martha felt a twinge of panic gripping her. What if they failed? What if their tacos were a disaster? The negative thoughts began to swirl, threatening to overshadow the creativity they had just embraced. But Jake's calming presence cut through the tension. He flashed a reassuring smile. Hey, remember? It's not just about winning. We're here to have fun, right? His words grounded her. With a deep breath, she focused back on their taco creation. Together, they plated a colorful array of perfectly assembled tacos. When the judging began, they stood by their dish, hands clasped together in excitement. Every taste brought a flurry of compliments, but it was the last team S tacos that stole the show. Martha and Jake S smiles didn't fade. They realized that the Real win was the joy they felt in the moment, side by side. As the class came to an end, they stood outside, warmth enveloping them like a warm hug. "What do you think?" Martha asked, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "Let us do another class. Maybe something like sushi next." Jake replied, his eyes gleaming with eagerness. But the question lingered. What other adventures awaited them beyond the cooking realm, just waiting to be uncovered? Absolutely. But you know what? She leaned in closer, her heart pounding with excitement. Let us not just check off classes. Let us make a list of things to do together, experiences to gather. Jake's face lit up, like a scrapbook of adventures. As they began brainstorming, Martha realized this was the chance to build a life made of thrilling possibilities. Little did they know, their next adventure would lead them down a path they had never anticipated, a discovery that would challenge everything they thought they knew about joy and connection. What other adventures are out there waiting for us? Martha wondered aloud, envisioning the journey ahead. Martha's excitement was palpable, and as they strolled away from the community center, she could feel a spark of hope igniting within her. They lingered in the moment, planning everything from hiking trips to pottery classes, visions of shared laughter dancing through her mind. The world felt expansive, brimming with possibility. "What if we tried a salsa dancing class?" Jake suggested with a playful twinkle in his eyes. She couldn't help but laugh at the thought of their two left feet clumsily stumbling through the steps. "Only if you promise to wear a bright-colored shirt," she teased, nudging him playfully. "I'll wear whatever you want if it means we can do it." He grinned as they continued to brainstorm. However, Martha felt an underlying tension begin to creep in. She was excited about the future, but could they maintain the momentum? She thought back to their past, the moments that had echoed with silence rather than laughter. There'd been too many quiet dinners, too many missed connections. The thought sent a small tremor of doubt through her, but she pushed it away. "Let us explore food markets next weekend. We can pick out fresh ingredients and come up with a meal together," she suggested, her voice brightening, hoping to lift her doubts as well. "Perfect. And we can even have a mini taste test," Jake responded, already imagining their culinary experiments. They found a nearby cafe, the air warm with the sweet aroma of coffee and pastries. As they settled into their seats, the gentle clinking of cups and hushed conversations added to the cozy atmosphere. Jake pulled out his phone and began jotting down their list of adventures. "Okay, we have salsa dancing, food markets," and he paused, his eyes narrowing in concentration. "How about a weekend road trip?" "Road trip?" Martha's eyes widened. "Where to?" "Anywhere. Just you and me exploring. Imagine the music and snacks," he exclaimed, a wide smile spreading across his face. Martha could see the joy in Jake's expression, and it warmed her heart. But with that warmth came a flicker of concern. Road trips required planning, spontaneity, sure, but also unexpected challenges. She took a sip of coffee, trying to shake the feeling. "I love it, but can we just be sure it's a manageable trip? I don't want to get too carried away and end up somewhere unfamiliar." Jake's brows furrowed slightly, a hint of seriousness entering his demeanor. "Martha, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the point of adventures, right? They're about growth, learning, experiencing." His words struck a chord deep within her. She knew he was right. Everything didn't need to be perfect, yet the fear of failure still loomed. What if things didn't go smoothly, if they faced too many obstacles, or if they rediscovered something they weren't ready to confront? "Okay, let us just take the plunge then," she said, those doubts suspended for just a moment. "Our first road trip together." Excitement bubbled up again, washing over the nervous energy. They filled the table with tentative plans, their laughter mixing with dreams that felt exciting and just a little bit nerve-wracking. Yet, as the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the cafe's patio, a looming question remained unspoken. Deep down, Martha wondered if their adventures would truly bring them closer or if the more they tried, the more they risked unearthing buried tensions that had always existed just beneath the surface. Together, no matter what, right? She finally asked, gripping Jake's hand across the table. Absolutely, he replied firmly, his confidence settling some of her worries with its warmth as they walked out of the cafe, the sky bursting with brilliant hues of orange and pink. Martha felt the weight of anticipation mixed with anxiety. What awaited them on this new journey? Would they find joy in the adventures they sought, or would the path reveal unexpected truths about themselves? The heart of the matter remained. Was their bond strong enough to weather whatever lay ahead? The question hung in the air, waiting to be answered anew. Martha took a deep breath as they stepped into the vibrant evening, the cool air brushing against her skin. She relished the feeling of Jake's hand holding hers, a tether of assurance despite the uncertainty swirling in her mind. The colors above seemed to echo her mixed emotions. She could see laughter, light, and adventure, but there were also shadows lurking, whispering doubts from the corners of her heart. The parking lot, the car door creaked open, and they slid into the front seats together. The engine hummed to life, and as they pulled into the street, the pulse of excitement surged again. This was their chance. All right, let us decide on a playlist, Jake said, reaching for his phone. The smile on his face was contagious, and Martha couldn't help but grinning back. What's the theme? Road trip classics? Definitely. We need some good old sing-alongs, she replied, her excitement bubbling over. She thought about their drive, sun streaming through the windows, the wind blowing through their hair, and laughter echoing around them. Then it settled. Crank it up. He cheered at their favorite songs blared through the speakers. Their voices filled the car, free and unencumbered. But no sooner had they begun belting out the lyrics than a sudden silence fell between them. The beat of the music blended into the background, leaving room for thoughts that felt almost deafening. Was it really this easy to forget the past? Martha stole a glance at Jake, who seemed absorbed in the road ahead, unaware of her internal battle. Jake? She hesitated, finding her voice amidst the thick tension. Do you think we can really do this? Do what? He asked, glancing her way with an eyebrow raised, genuine curiosity lighting his expression. Adventure. Us. Make it through without falling back into old habits? She shifted slightly in her seat, feeling the weight of what had been unsaid linger like a low fog. Jake's smile faltered briefly. I think we can if we keep talking, keep communicating. It's really all about that. His voice dropped a notch, and Martha felt the sincerity wash over her. She nodded slowly, absorbing his words. Communication, that was key. But how to share her fears without dimming the joy they'd built? Promise me something, Martha said, pushing past the hesitation. If we start to drift into silence, let us make a pact to be honest. No more avoiding the tough stuff. A small smile crept back onto Jake's face, a mix of appreciation and determination. I promise. I don't want to go back to how things were before. The night transformed around them, lights from street lamps flickering as they cruised under the starry expanse. Martha felt moments of unease whispering, but there was also this thrilling promise of change and the possibility of building something beautiful. As they rounded a curve, an unexpected smell wafted through the open window, a familiar allure that pulled at Martha's memory. Wait, is that popcorn? She exclaimed. Let's check it out. Jake grinned, a light in his eyes. Without a second thought, he turned the car around, adrenaline coursing through them. They parked, and as they wandered toward the small pop-up stand tucked away in a nearby park, the atmosphere shifted to something more joyful. The laughter of families enjoying the evening, the gentle hum of conversation, it stirred a sense of comfort. But just as they reached the stand, Martha felt a surge of anticipation mixed with anxiety. What if this was a distraction from what needed to be addressed? Holding a warm bag of popcorn, Martha looked at Jake, the golden kernels nestled between them, a symbol of shared delight. But could this simple joy offset the complexities of their journey ahead? Ready for whatever comes next? Jake asked, crunching on the popcorn with a carefree chuckle. More than ready, she replied, heart racing. Yet beneath her smile, The deeper question echoed, would this adventure truly alter their path, or would it merely postpone confronting the buried tensions? As they strolled hand in hand, savoring the sweet and salty taste of their newfound joy, Martha struggled with the feeling that the biggest challenge was still waiting just around the next bend. What hidden truths still lay ahead, waiting for the right moment to emerge? The sun rose gently over Martha's small Midwestern town, casting a golden glow over streets that seemed ready to embrace their newfound possibilities. Inside her cozy kitchen, a pot of coffee brewed, and a familiar aroma filled the air, mingling with the warmth of hope that enveloped her heart. Today was not just another day, it was the beginning of a brand new chapter. Martha glanced at her phone, excitement bubbling beneath the surface as she remembered the adventures she and Jake had planned. They had signed up for a cooking class together, created lists of hobbies, and even entertained the idea of a road trip. Each possibility felt like a stepping stone toward a renewed bond, one that had long been waiting to be reignited. "Jake," she called out, her voice carrying through the house. "Are you ready for our first big adventure?" Jake appeared, his enthusiasm infectious. "Always ready, Mom," he chirped, a bright light of excitement in his eyes. She smiled at his eagerness, the weight that had hung between them slowly lifting. Today, they would embrace everything together. As they ventured out, a slight breeze brushed against Martha's skin, a whisper of encouragement. She felt the world around her come alive, neighbors watering lawns, kids playing on the sidewalks, and laughter echoing in the distance. The community center buzzed with energy, and Martha's heart raced as they entered the classroom. Chef Elena stood at the front, a beacon of passion as she introduced a colorful array of ingredients. "Today, we're diving into the vibrant flavors of Mexico," she announced, clapping her hands. The room erupted in cheers, and Martha couldn't help but join in. The class started off with introductions, and couples, friends, and families began to mingle. Martha felt a warm sense of belonging swelling inside her as she and Jake joined forces amidst the joyful chaos. They chopped and mixed, their laughter blending seamlessly with the chatter around them. As they prepared the filling for their tacos, Martha caught a glimpse of Chef Elena working with another team, her light illuminating the room like a shining star. Suddenly, the competitive spirit ignited. Chef Elena announced they would have a taco-making contest. Jake's eyes sparkled. "We can totally win this, Mom," he exclaimed, looking at her with unshakable determination. Martha's heart soared. "Let's do it. But remember, it's about having fun, right?" The rhythm of the kitchen pulsed as they worked. Chopping veggies and assembling their meals, they became a team, dancing around each other, a perfectly choreographed performance. But just before the final moments, a flicker of doubt crept in as they raced against time. "What if our tacos fall flat?" she murmured under breath. But Jake smiled reassuringly. "Remember, we're not here just to win. We're creating memories." His confidence coursed through her, seemingly washing away her fears. As they plated their creation, Martha couldn't help but feel pride swell in her chest. When the judging commenced, she and Jake stood with bated breath. Their tacos had moments of deliciousness, shining colors and mouth-watering aromas, but when Chef Elena proclaimed the winners, it was another team that secured the crown. Even so, a wave of joy swelled within Martha as she met her son's eyes. They had made something beautiful together. She felt grateful for the connection they nurtured, transforming a simple cooking class into an unforgettable day that echoed warmth and love rather than competition. As the class ended, they stood outside, the evening sun casting a soft glow. "What do you think?" Martha asked, her heart bubbling with excitement. "It's officially the best day ever." Jake chuckled, his eyes dancing with joy. "Can we sign up for another class next week? Or maybe a hike? Why not both?" Martha replied, exhilarated by the possibilities. Each step they took together felt like opening doors to new horizons, fueled by a shared determination to embrace life head-on. "Mom," Jake said, pausing to look at her, "I want to thank you for saying yes today." I know it wasn't easy, but look at the happiness it brought us." Martha's heart swelled. "I'm learning, Jake. Learning that it's okay to let people in, to lean on the support that's right here." As they walked toward the car, anticipation lingered in the air. The promise of new adventures beckoned them, inviting them out of their comfort zones. "Together, right?" Jake asked, squeezing her hand. "Together," she confirmed, realizing how this journey was as much about connection as it was about experience. They would laugh and stumble, but together they could conquer anything as twilight fell over the horizon. Martha looked up, her heart alive with possibilities. What lay ahead was waiting to be explored not only within their relationship, but in the world around them. Each new experience held the potential for joy and connection, bridging the gaps that life had once widened. "Let us make the best memories together, Jake." She smiled, envisioning every adventure ahead, shining bright like the stars that were beginning to twinkle above. The warmth of her son beside her felt like a promise, a bond reinforced through trust, acceptance, and love. No more silence. No more fear. "Hey," she said, glancing over with a sparkle in her eyes, "let's take that joy and share it. We can start a little blog about our adventures, maybe inspire others to step out of their comfort zones too." "Now, that's an idea." Jake laughed. "I'm in. Let's inspire a whole community." And as they drove off into the night, filled with laughter and the excitement of what lay ahead, Martha knew they were no longer just mother and son. They were partners in a quest for life, together facing the vast and beautiful unknown. Martha's heart was full, and her spirit soared, for this was just the beginning of something extraordinary. Before you go, this is your chance to become part of this incredible journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to help us keep reaching these beautiful souls. Comment your thoughts and feelings about Martha's transformation. Your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with 5 friends who need to see this powerful change. Together, let us spread the joy.